Hello and welcome to another episode of eTalks powered by EDC. I am Rohit Ranjan from EDC UIAT, which aims to provide exceptional learning opportunities and foster budding ideas. And today we are having someone who has left a mark of himself in different professions like acting, hosting, comedy, writing, and is a life coach. I welcome you, Umesh Pherwani, sir. Glad to have you on this podcast.
Thank you so much, Rohit. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, sir. If I have to begin with my first question, as a third person, how do you describe Umesh Pherwani?
uh, how would I describe Umesh Pherwani? Non-conformist, somebody who's from a distant, from a person who actually doesn't know me would call me weird, and that's I think one of the things that goes with every person who is involved with creativity. So, making my own paths and finding my own ways rather than conforming to the set society rules. I've always decided to, follow my heart and, just do what I want rather than what society wants me to do.
Yes, sir. That is something that everyone should be thinking with the same mindset, which should not be, actually very much influenced by the societal trends which they have set up, and you have done a very good work, as I have known and I would like to inform my audience also that Umesh Pherwani sir has done work in acting industry, entertainment industry, and he has done pretty much very popular shows, and one of them was Family Number One, which came on Sony TV, if I'm not wrong. And I would like to say to my audience, if you do not know about the show, ask your parents. They must they must know about it. And it was a very popular show. When I mentioned it to my parents, they were actually, quite surprised, and they said that, we watched that show.
Yeah, it was we were in fact one of the only sitcoms to have been nominated for the Asian TV Awards. So so it was very, very popular. I remember, I've traveled the world, so I have been. I remember on one of my trips to New York, and I had people who were there recognizing me. So it's always, I think, something that comes along with, fame and stardom, or, being part of a hit show. And those of you who haven't seen Family Number One, it's still there. So if you have, this OTT platform called Sony Live, all the 130 episodes are still on it. So you can watch it at your ease.
Okay, sir. So as you mentioned about, acting and all this brings a lot of fame and pampering, and you are always, center of attention in many events. So among all those conditions, like what did you do to, keep yourself grounded with all this fame, to have a humble nature every time with you?
I guess I never found any reason to be arrogant, because any time that I have done something and I've looked out, somebody has already done it and done it better. So, I've always looked up and seen people who have done better than me and tried to get inspired by them while trying to inspire people who are trying to get better at something. So in between all this, I've never found the time to actually, I don't find any reason for arrogance, actually. It doesn't make sense to me because there's still a long way to go.
Okay, so that is something which is very true. And if I have to mention, I was, looking about information about you, and I found a video where you mentioned that while you were acting in the day, you were shooting in the daytime, you are also a flight attendant. You also, used to, flights, you attend the flights basically. So would you like to, say something about it, or how it actually helped you?
Yeah, wow. First of all, I'd like to pat your back for doing such excellent research. Yes, in one of my interviews, I did mention that I was simultaneously involved with aviation also. Like I've told you, for a third person, I would appear completely, off track or weird because of the career choices and abrupt decisions that I have taken. So at the same time, while I was, tasting success and fame as an actor, I had got an opportunity to be part of aviation industry as a flight attendant. So I took that up and I spoke to my producers and got my schedules adjusted in a way where I could leave the country for 3 days, come back and shoot again. Because in those days, it wasn't a daily show. it was just twice weekly show. So we used to shoot just 6 to 8 days a month. So I used to schedule. I even spoke to my airline bosses who were kind enough to adjust the schedule. So balancing two opposite careers, acting and flying. So it was quite a task. It was difficult because I used to go to Europe a lot. So each flight would be like 11 hours, 10 hours, 40
Yes,
minutes
yes.
from here to Amsterdam is like 10-hour flight. And after shooting for like a straight 12 hours, getting into my uniform and then greeting passengers and, being on a flight for 10 hours, working a flight was quite
Yes,
a
yes.
task.
Okay, so I can say that you actually flew high to keep yourself grounded.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so if coming back to acting again, so I want to know, how did you become an actor? Like, how did acting become your career path?
Well, as far as I can remember as a child, that's always been my, it's not been a dream. It's been something that I am. I remember my first ever memory of being wanting to become an actor was that my mom had taken me to watch this movie Cars, where I saw Rishi Kapoor dancing to Om Shanti Om.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I said, this is what I want to do. This is where I'll be the happiest. So that's where the acting bug bit me, and it's still there. No matter what I have done, deep down I'm an actor.
Yes, that story you mentioned, that it was very, and the dreams basically start from these kind of incidences. Like
Absolutely,
you see
absolutely,
someone.
absolutely, absolutely.
So I want to pick a point out from here that you mentioned Curse movie. So it was, I guess it was released around 90s time. I have not seen the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, a little before that, yeah, more than
Yes.
80s. I think it was 80s.
Okay, so
Yeah,
all those actors like Rishi Kapoor, and there was a time when actors like Shah Rukh Khan and Amir Khan, they rocked the show. And now today is a time where these actors are also are getting low in light, and new actors like Ranveer Singh, Ranveer Kapoor, and all those, they are rocking this industry and making a very great mark of themselves. So where do you see the India's entertainment industry, how it has evolved, and what do you think that how it will go in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think this is one of the best periods for cinema, not only Indian cinema, worldwide cinema, because never before has there been such wide amount of opportunities with the introduction of OTT platforms. Out of work actors have again got back to work. There are so many web series happening, and the audiences are somebody you can't just fool with, some tried tricks. Earlier what we used to happen is that you put together some sex, you put together some violence, you put together some action, and there you have it. The audience were biting into that. But now the audiences have, become very intelligent. You can't fool them. So they are looking for good content based software. And what's happening is that the best of the creative people, the young minds, are coming into the industry and just flourishing. I mean, you spend one day just watching Netflix or watching any of these OTT platforms, the kind of content that you get to watch, it's never been seen before. So next 5 to 10 years are very promising.
Definitely, and we as a young audience, we also spend a lot of time on all these OTT platforms. They have made to get the entertainment very easy, and the quality of entertainment has also increased with the introduction of OTT platforms. So there has
Yes.
always been a debate about OTT versus cinema.
Mhm.
That people say that cinema is an experience, while OTT is something which has actually spread out the whole entertainment industry. It has reached to everyone, even in the smallest part of the town. So what is your take on it? What do you think, like, on OTT or cinema?
I think there's a very fine line between the two, and that also has been kind of, transgressed at this moment, because what's happened is, in fact, OTT has come to the rescue during these COVID pandemic periods where people would otherwise have just been holed up in their homes. But thanks to the OTT, we have not missed out on great cinema,
Yes.
which directly, even the best of actors have had their, right from an Amitabh, Mr. Bachchan to Akshay Kumar to Ranveer Singh. They've had their releases happening on OTT platforms. So that's a very, very, big uh, void that OTT has filled up. And I think that's the future. That's what the future is going to direct to home entertainment. Uh, Cinema halls are, I think, going to be there, but they're going to be not something that people would, be very regularly frequenting. People would be consuming content at home.
Yes, yes, yes. So that is one thing, and in this all these OTT platforms, one can actually have access to a lot of things, a lot of industry. It is not just restricted to only Bollywood. We can see movies of different languages, and all those movies we are actually embracing the creativity of the whole country, which was not like the case with when we were only going to cinemas and all. So do you think that the different language films, all those Tamil and Telugu films, they should be kept under same umbrella of Indian cinema, or they are better off separate? What would you say about it?
I think one shouldn't segregate, the art. Art is art, So where we talk about just national cinema, I'm talking on an international level. Whether even if you watch, Israeli cinema or Arabic cinema or the European, movies that are made, they are exceptional. Absolutely, a different level of acting and a different level of shooting is, or conception of ideas is seen over there. So rather than put creativity or art into boxes, I think we should be more open minded and just take it under the umbrella of art and experience it. Earlier, I remember when these OTT platforms were not there, so actors and artists and creative people would go out to film festivals. I remember going out watching films at Mami and all these festivals that would happen in order to experience world cinema. So now it couldn't have got better because watching world cinema is just a click away. You can watch
Yeah, actually.
whichever cinema you want, uh, just in the comfort of your bedroom.
Yes, and actually, all those the standards are basically when people are getting exposed to that kind of cinema. They are
Yes.
also, the audience is also setting high standards for the Bollywood people, or basically the Indian cinema also.
I think the
So
audience have Rohit. Audience have evolved to such an extent. It's not only the evolvement of the art, but also the evolvement of the audience that has been earlier. Like I mentioned, there was an acceptance that okay, there's a star in this film, irrespective of the content or the storyline, people would go to watch the star. No longer is it so. So you could have
yes,
the biggest of superstars trying to get away without a storyline, and they've hit, they've flopped at the box office. So no longer can you fool this audience. So it just compels you to give in your best.
yes, actually, the focus on acting has increased a lot because we, as also as an audience, we like the movies where we can see actor playing a different kind of stuff and showing out every skill set which they have. So
Yes.
from here comes my next question. You have also done acting, so I want to ask that: does acting helps you gain empathy? Because you portray different types of roles, so does it helps you to gain a perspective, or does it helps you to gain empathy? That is my basic question.
That's a brilliant question, Rohit. Again, want to pat your back on that quality of that question. I've given several interviews, and this is the first time I've been asked this question. So you're right. Yes, absolutely. As an actor, it's a double-sided coin. I mean, you do definitely gain empathy portraying different characters, but at the same time, you require empathy to become an actor also. So, like I said, it's something that you require as an artist and something that you develop further being an artist. Respect, because at the same time you're playing a prince, who's in a palace, and at the same time in the next, piece of work that you're doing, you're playing somebody who's having very moderate to very, you know, no means of survival. So between the two classes of being blessed or being poor, trying to find that balance and the empathy to play that character. So it's also the empathy you have for the character you're playing that allows you to give it the best.
Yes. That is something which is very, very true.
Mm.
And coming to your what the work you have done a sitcom, basically Family Number One, very popular, and you are very much. And from that, I also came to knew that you do stand-up comedy too. You have done shows, you have done comedy. So, is this a relation you have with comedy? So, like, is this something which you have a really from a long time? You are actually into comedy. So, what about this?
Yeah, so comedy is something which every actor needs to, find within themselves. It's not something you can learn. Comedy is something which you just find that humor within you. And most people don't understand, the whole concept of comedy. Comedy is something that comes from being vulnerable. The moment you
Yes.
let down your guard, the moment you allow people to see your vulnerable side, because comedy is all about being likable. So if and that's what communication is about. Good communication is about being likable. So the moment people like you, they accept who you are, because when you show them you're not perfect, when you show them that you have as many imperfections that they themselves carry, then there's a level in which they identify with you, and that's where the fun comes in, and that's where the laughter comes in. So being also open to laugh at yourself, that
Yes.
helps that.
Okay, so that is one thing that you mentioned about comedy, and you said that it is something which comes naturally most of the time. You need to let yourself vulnerable. So
Yes.
one thing which I would like to know that is it something that we can develop a good sense of humor? Like, is it possible that with time you can develop a good sense of humor, or is it natural, completely natural?
I think it's not something that you can develop or not develop. It's there. It's just that you need to find it. So same concept, when I'm doing seminars and young minds understand confidence, I don't tell them that something, it's not something that you can learn. It's something that's already within you. It's as much a part of you as the blood that flows in your veins. So humor and uh, at the same time confidence are something which are state of minds, and you need to reach that state of mind to be able to just discover it. You don't have to go and learn it somewhere. You need to just discover it within you.
Yeah, so the thing which you basically said, which I found the most accurate, is the vulnerability, showing off your
Yes.
vulnerability. I pretty much agree
Yes.
with that. But
Right.
the things are the basics. Like these things are true for every time. If you show these kind of things, people are going to laugh. If you take them by surprise, people are going to laugh. But
True.
if you see this, like you have been in the stand-up scene from a very long time,
Mm.
and if you see the comedians which were popular in back then in the 2009 and 2010, the
Mhm.
type of comedy which they did is does not appear funny to the younger audience now, and the type of
Mhm.
comedy which is happening now, which
Mhm.
are all those big YouTubers like Zakir Khan, and which are have made a lot of name in the stand-up comedies. The
Mhm.
kind of comedy they are doing, I found that the older generation does not like it very much.
Mhm. Mhm.
So what do you think about this? Like, what kind of shift it has been created in the past 10-15 years?
I think, see, good humor always is good humor. Whether it is, the black and white cinema, when you go down to Charles Chaplin, Laurel and Hardy, or if you're watching Buster Keaton, these are all like, I mean, the other day I was watching a movie of Buster Keaton. Those of you who haven't watched it, go, it's available on YouTube. It's called The Engine. And see that person's vulnerability, see his way of interacting, his complete expressionless face, that brings the laughter. Or whether it's Charles Chaplin, he's the greatest comedian who ever lived. He could make you laugh, and in the next frame he can make you cry. And that's what true comedy is all about. So when you come to the comedy that was done in 90s, or it was more slapstick, and that's what made people laugh at that time. Tripping over a banana peel would make people laugh. Now we no longer find that funny. Now
Yes.
we want something more intelligent, we want something more tongue in cheek. So with these people, with people like Zakir Hussain or Biswa, all these are they are great storytellers. So as a comedian, you also need to be a great storyteller, engaging your audience. The laughs might be far and wide, but today, if you carefully watch Zakir Hussain, he's a great storyteller.
Yes.
Why you don't even realize while you're so engrossed in his story that while laughing, you don't realize that a tear has escaped, because you've so completely identified with his situation. So that's,
Yes.
I mean, I'm getting goosebumps as I say that. I mean, Zakir Hussain is mind blowing. He's too good.
Okay, if I may correct you, his name is Zakir Khan actually.
I'm sorry, Zakir Khan. I just got too carried away with this. Sorry,
Yes,
Zakir
yes.
Khan. Yes. Thanks for correcting me there.
Okay, so as you mentioned, like these comedians are actually using storytelling.
Yeah.
They are using storytelling to laugh the audience, and the kind of comedy, the storytelling requires a lot of effort in writing also. So, what do you think? Like, how much writing a script or writing a jokes? How much time does it take? And like, how much effort does it requires to make a perfect stage act?
Actually, there's no such thing as perfect. There's always room for perfection. So that's a mirage that you're constantly, every creative person is trying to search. But writing is not difficult, but it is time consuming. So it's not something that you uh, can or cannot do. Everybody can write great stuff, but provided how much time you're willing to put into it. You put 20 hours into a joke, one single thought, you're going to come up with gold, but how many people are willing to put in 20 hours? So if you see a 15-minute act or a 20-minute stand-up comedy, that comedian has at least put in 1 year of stage shows, open mics, and a lot of revising and correcting and adding and subtracting and finding that sweet spot that finally when we watch on YouTube, we go like, oh my gosh, it can't get funnier than this. But the hard work, it's always, I say, stand-up comedians are like ducks. They look so calm and peaceful on the outside, but if you see beneath the water, they are paddling really, really hard.
Okay, so can you elaborate more on that? Like, how does a stand-up comedian feels from inside?
See, I'll tell you what, stand comedians are mostly very insecure from within. And I say that in a good way, not in a negative way. Insecure in the sense that it's becoming a stand-up comedian comes from the urge of being noticed and being the center of the crowd, first of all. Secondly, with the advancement of comedy, of the comedy scene in our country, talking specifically in India, it's the survival of the fittest. So unless you are the best, you're going to get lost. So it's constant trying to be right out there, reaching out on social media, through your work, through your writing, through your reels, through your presence. It's very, very hard work. So feeling as a stand-up comedian is that there's no time to feel, how you are feeling, because you're constantly looking outside to, gain that kind of appreciation for your hard work.
Yes, definitely. I think like comedians have to do a lot of hard work. They actually do work on a lot of fronts. Basically, as we have discussed it, like storytelling, writing, and everything. So coming to the writing part, basically we discussed it. But you have also been an author. I would like to know everyone in our audience that you have written 2 books. If I name them correct, one of it is The Mind Switch, and another book name is Are You Out of Your Mind?
Right.
So is what is the the thing you have with mind? Like, what is your thinking? Like you have written 2 books on the mind completely. So like, what can you please elaborate on it?
Yeah. Thanks, Rohit. The mind is something which we all encounter every second. Right now, as you're asking your question, you have a mind that is constantly active. As I'm answering your question, my mind is something which is constantly active. Our audience, right, while listening to these answers or your questions, their minds are completely engaged. So I did my commerce actually from MMK College, But after that, I wanted to pursue psychology. So I went and did my master's in psychology. So and that got me interested into human behavior, observing human behavior, and also I did something called NLP, which is Neuro Linguistic Programming. Most people are not aware of it. It's basically a science of success. So Tony Robbins and Richard Bandler and John Grinder from the UK, they actually John Grinder and Richard Bandler were the founders of NLP. It's basically, in easy words, it's just a science of success. Watching successful people and then recreating their success through actions and behavior patterns.
Okay, so you mentioned Richard Bandler. I was going through one of his sessions, and you just touched that point, like you like that author a lot, and you didn't elaborated much on this NLP part. So I would really like you to tell whatever you know about and express it completely to our audience so that they can understand and they can realize the importance of this thing.
Yeah.
NLP.
Yeah. So NLP basically stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming. Neuro means everything concerning your brain. Linguistic is a language pattern. Like right now, I'm talking to you. I actually speak 4 different languages, but I'm talking to you in English. So English is the active center in my brain right now. Similarly, as we have active language centers in our brain, we have patterns in our brain. Okay, so to again simplify it for the sake of the audience, let's say I am a husband, I am at the same time a brother, I am a son. So each time I get into the role of a different person, there's a different behavior pattern getting engaged. So I'm not the same with my sister as I am with my friends. I'm not the same with my mother as I'm with my neighbor. So, there are different patterns that, or neural connections in our brain that get engaged. Similarly, when you are engaging in any kind of an art form that requires some kind of expertise, there are neural patterns, basically connections in your brain that need to be engaged. So through repetition, first identifying that neural path and then engaging it regularly with repetition. I don't know, I think if it's getting a little too technical out here. In simple terms, it's basically just understanding the science of success. When you watch a successful person, let's say like Zakir Khan, you watch him perform and you break down his pattern of seeing his show and you watch it very, very closely, second by second, writing down every word that he speaks, every pause that he takes, every punctuation that he uses, every time he, brings the mic closer to his mouth, his stance, his body language, you'll find a pattern. Finding that pattern and recreating it to duplicate success, basically. That's what NLP is about.
Okay, so that is a very very interesting stuff. I have never been encountered to this thing. I in that session also you did not put much light onto it, so
Yeah.
I did not get a complete idea about it, but I am sure that the things you have said right now must have sparked a curiosity among all the people who are watching this podcast and all the people who will be watching this on YouTube and other platforms. So, but this was something I must say that it is very mind-boggling actually.
It is absolutely. I got introduced to this science in the 90s actually. It's a very young science in itself. But when I read this book, Awaken the Giant Within, I'm a voracious reader, by the way. I have a library of 2,000 books, and I've always been a voracious reader. So that's one thing I would encourage amongst a young audience. That's one thing that sets you apart. So anytime you can get your hands on a book, don't overwhelm yourself by seeing the size of the book. Just target 1 page a day, or half a page, or even a paragraph a day can completely change the quality of your life.
Yeah, actually, these kind of habit building actually contributes a lot to improvement of one person. And the audience which we are having are mostly people who are college going students, and books are something which can actually basically change the mindset of someone completely if you read the right book and you absorb the book completely. So I would like to ask you, what would be the top 5 books, or maybe not top 5, what are your favorite books which you would like to recommend every person who is in college to read, and to learn and to absorb it.
Okay, so top five, if I would give you, it would be not justifying all the other books that I've read, because honest to God, every book that I have come across, I've yet to come across a book that has not been magnificent. But to start off, most people, who are struggling, and it's nothing to be, ashamed of. I come across so many people and so many successful people who don't read, and I feel very, they're like, I can't get myself to read. It's just too difficult for me. So to start off, I think, some good books that I can recommend is one is How to Win Friends and Influence People. That was one of the first books I read. Tuesdays with Maury is an excellent book. At the same time, Awaken the Giant Within. It's a huge book. It's around, I think, 500 pages, but it's by Tony Robbins. Mind blowing. But I've, started off with these books basically, which were more on personality and understanding self and psychology. And I've graduated on to more scientific, more medical. Of it, this is the last 5 years I've been very active in understanding biohacking and books to do with neurology. So basically everything to do with the brain.
Okay, so I hope that our audience will really search up those books and buy it as soon as possible.
And in case they don't have it, I have ebooks of all these. So if you can send me a message on my Instagram, I can forward the books. So it's an open offer to everybody, all the people who want to get into reading.
That's great. That's great thing you are doing, and I would make sure that they put your Instagram handle and everything so that anyone who is interested can reach out to you. And one thing, like the books you mentioned and the things you said about working from brain, training your brain basically. So I have read some stuff around this. I have not. I would not say that I'm a very great reader or a very avid reader, but I have read about things like law of attraction. It is also about related to mind, like thinking about every time what you want to achieve. So how do you think that like these kind of things work? What is the psychology behind it basically?
Okay, well, law of attraction is just like the law of gravity. If you go to explain it scientifically, it becomes too overwhelming. But a simple way of understanding the law of attraction is basically like attracts like, which means that the kind of thoughts you harbor are the kind of thoughts that are going to manifest in your life. And by manifest, I don't mean some magic manifestation. It's basically very scientific, very absolutely proven by science. So if you go and research Dr. Emoto from Japan, his work, or if you research Dr. Bruce Lipton, he's written a very wonderful book called The Biology of Belief. Or for the people who are very new to this concept, watch The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. It just gives you a whole new insight into this.
Yes, actually, and these things are actually because you don't find any common sense base, because if you say someone that you just need to think about it and it might be possible, it does not sound very much believable from the first point of view.
Right.
But I have seen people, you go to YouTube and I have seen blogs, I have read blogs where people are mentioning that these things have worked like a magic for them.
Yes.
So these things are actually these kind of stuff, and all these things are very much great in themselves. And so I like to know, you have done a lot of things, and you have focused a lot more on psychology and the things related to brain and mind. So are you working on any new book right now related to that?
I am, and I am not at the same time. I started my third book, but then again, I have put it on hold because I needed to do some more research. This is again going to be a book on biohacking, understanding how biohacking, again, I'll explain it to our audience in a very simple way. It's basically we have our bodies that function basically, when we are at our optimum, when we are at our best. So there are certain behaviors, habits, and certain external supplements that we can take that basically can help us enhance our productivity. Whether it's most people nowadays, I see they are either suffering from brain fog, lack of focus, procrastination, putting off things, laziness, or not able to achieve goals, and then they are blaming it just on willpower, which biohacking says it's not only your willpower. There's a lot of biochemistry involved over here, and by just tweaking your behaviors and just few very simple hacks, you can reach your optimum best.
Okay. So I was also not aware with this biohacking term.
Yeah.
And I must say that the kind of conversation we are having, it is something which which will spark a curiosity about these things among our audience. And I hope that these kind of things get a lot popular, and people because in this COVID era we are seeing like we are taking a lot of toll on our productivity basically. So I think like these kind of things, these kind of stuff and these kind of theories, they can actually help someone to grow out. So my next question to this is, like, we have always focused on intelligence question, the IQ levels, that we have always spoken that you need to be intelligent. But as I was mentioning the COVID time and all, it has put a lot of whatever you say, a dent on the EQ of people's also. And now the importance of EQ is getting highlighted, that yes, it is also important. So as you are a psychology student, you must be knowing a lot of about this, and you have done work around this. So how do you think like the emotional quotient is important for people, and what would you advise on it, or how should we maintain it or increase it?
Yeah. Okay, that's again a very good question, Rohit. Emotional quotient is, I think, the only thing that matters. IQ doesn't matter at all. And if you do the research, IQ is no longer valued. Top companies like Google or any of these Apple, they are not valuing IQ. They are only valuing your EQ. And if your EQ is in the right place, if you have that emotional quotient to understand things and connect, then your IQ doesn't matter. Even in HR, if you are applying for a job, and most of our students would be applying for jobs, I have seen that their focus entirely lies upon memorizing stuff and trying to get things right and answering correctly. But more than that, I think if they can portray intelligence through confidence and intelligence through emotion, they have a better chance of getting hired. It's a personal example. For my interview with the airlines, when I had gone there, my GQ was not so great. And it was pointed out by the interviewer. But I confidently said that, sir, all these questions that you ask me are just a Google click away. Ask me about what is more important, more relevant. Ask me about, how do I, connect with people, my communication skills. That's my forte. And if you're looking out for somebody who connects and allows people to be comfortable with them, then I'm a candidate. I got the job. 3,000 out of 3,000 people, only 3 people made it. I was one of them. So again, not to sound arrogant, but just to highlight to youth over here who are watching this, that do not go by your IQ. IQ is just, it's passe now. Google has taken over. So, and the near future is going to be all about AI, artificial intelligence. Everything is going to be, just a click away, which it already is. So we are looking for people who are more emotionally connected, who can empathize, like you mentioned earlier, and people who can connect via good communication, effective communication. So brushing up on that rather than wasting time on gathering intelligence or information.
Okay, so you put a lot of focus on the communication skills. Basically, these are the things which are interpersonal things. Basically, you need to develop your interpersonal things. So, how would rate basically arrange the things like skills and communication skills, like the work skills, technical skills, and the communication skills? Like, how would you arrange it? What would you say about it? Which is more important, or both can be go in hand, or you need to be very proficient in one thing? Or what is your take on this?
I think both go hand in hand. Technical skills are equally important, understanding, but those are something that can be learned and that can be
Yes.
polished. Technical skills, communication skills are something that you need to work on. Basically, it's again something that we all have, but because of improper education, and I would blame our education system for that. We are always taught to be perfect. If you see our exam structure, the way we are examined during the way we are giving exams as students, it's all relying on rote, memorizing stuff and then putting that, vomiting it out on
Definitely.
paper. That's irrelevant. I mean, if you see the international education, it's open book. Most of the exams are open book exams. They just need you to know where to find the right answers. So when you come to communication skills, it's something that first of all, don't look for perfection. Understanding your uniqueness, what you bring on the table, and then at the same time how you can be the best version of yourself, not like somebody else, but the best version of yourself. I think that makes all the difference in good communication.
Okay, so you said a very great things about this fact, and so my question is, what things would you suggest should one include in their personality so that they are able to better convey their ideas in general to people?
I think self-awareness is very important. We are constantly, at this moment, I would say our attention spans have gone much below than that of a goldfish also.
Yes, yes, yes.
So how many people, I mean, if those who are still on the interview right now and have still connected, hats off to your attention span, I would say, because we don't have that much patience today to,
Yes, yes, yes.
pay attention. We lose our focus. That's the reason, platforms like Instagram, where you have reels, if you
Yeah,
see 15 seconds is the attention span a person has, and then you want to scroll up, and then it gives you another dopamine hit. So it's all a game again. My whole book is going to be about this, about biohacking. What's happening? Why do you have you ever noticed you're on Instagram, you're going through reels, and you look up at the clock and already 2 hours or 1 hour has passed. You
yeah,
don't even realize it, right? What's happening is that it's a reward system in our brain that's being activated each with new information. So we swipe up and again we get a dopamine hit. So what's happened is that it's created a attention deficit in us, because the baseline of our dopamine, we need to consume long form of entertainment, which is basically reading books or playing board games. Those are long form entertainments rather than video games or watching content online, because you will completely drain yourself. And then if you see, ADD, which is attention deficit disorder, is one of the most common prevailing things amongst the youngsters today. They have no attention spans at all.
yeah. So I want to know that dopamine effect you mentioned about, like we
Yeah.
get a hit of dopamine when we see those very short span videos. So cannot we program it according to our productivity, that we get a dopamine hit when we do a 2 hour study, when we read a book? So is not that possible? Isn't it possible, or how can we program ourselves to that kind of thing?
What a brilliant observation you made. And if you haven't read this book and you're mentioning this, then hats off to you, Rohit, for mentioning it, because this is actually a book, The Dopamine Effect. I am forgetting the author's name. I think it's Dr. Julie, if I'm not mistaken. But nevertheless, if you mentioned it, great. Your brain is in the right place. So The Dopamine Effect is a book which I highly recommend. And those who don't have it, I can send it to you. It's a brilliant book that talks exactly what you just said, programming your mind and your dopamine, triggers to feel great about things that are, that we normally term as boring. So whether it's working out or staying fit, eating healthy, or even for that matter, journaling, writing down. Most people find that very boring and unattractive. So engineering your mind to feel, to get that dopamine hit doing this kind of stuff.
So, like, can you give some quick tips according, like, it is something like we would need to read the whole book on it, but for now, can you, provide some tips or some ideas which can actually help, to program yourself in that way?
Yeah, so one of the quickest tips I can give is, and it would help any person from any vocation, irrespective of which field you're in, whether you're an actor, whether you're a writer, or whether you're an engineer or an accountant. Self-awareness, and that comes with breathing. So the present moment. So if you can take 1 minute out in a day, in 24 hours, 1 minute, all right? If you can take 1 minute out and just focus on your breath for that entire, set a timer on your phone for 1 minute, and that entire 1 minute, which is 60 seconds, you focus on your inhalation and exhalation. That's it. That's what mindfulness is all about, bringing your complete focus onto your present moment. And once you do this, and you can successfully do this for a week, then I would suggest you graduate to something called the Wim Hof method. This is Wim Hof is again a person who's written a book, The Iceman, and he's been in the Guinness Book of World Records. He's being right now researched by a lot of agencies worldwide, because he has performed feats which are humanly impossible. And he has given this method, which is basically a breathing technique that allows you to, whatever neurotransmitters and dopamine, serotonin, and all these that I mentioned, he allows you to attain that physical state, mental state, with just an 11-minute breathing technique. Now, that is available online on YouTube, free of cost. So if you go onto YouTube and you type in the Wim Hof method, it's an 11-minute video, and it's something that if you do regularly every single day, I can't, start telling you how many benefits you would see in your life. It would completely transform you as a person. So first, 1 minute every day, focusing on your breath. As you inhale the breath, exhale it with 100% attention. Wherever your mind wanders, catch it, bring it back to that breath. And then once you do it for a week, go on to the Wim Hof method.
Okay, I would really, look up to this on YouTube, and I would really explore it.
Yeah,
but
I'll just spell it out for you. Those of you who are, maybe interested in it, it's Wim Hof. So WIMHOFF, Wim Hof method. Yeah, please.
Okay. So you mentioned about breathing, that the book suggests, or the method suggests about breathing techniques, and don't you think it is on a similar line of meditation?
Yeah, see, meditation, again, it's a very misused word. Most people have very different concepts of meditation, and they believe it. If we are young, then we don't need to meditate, or you need to be a certain age to get into meditation. All these are, I think, not right. Meditation is just a simple way of saying mindfulness. And what do you mean by mindfulness? It means your present moment awareness. If you catch yourself anytime, your mind is either in the past or it's in the future, but never in the present moment. Yes, and even for 5 minutes a day, if you can, break it down one minute for 5 minutes a day, if you can bring your moment, do nothing, no screens to watch, no other activity to do, just 5 minutes a day. If you can sit and focus on the present moment, feeling all our 5 senses. In NLP, we call it VACOG: visual, auditory, kinesthetic, gustatory, and olfactory. That's sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. If you can bring all your attention, whichever field you're in, I can guarantee you do this for 6 months, you will excel in it.
Okay, so yes, I think that this is something also one of the whatever you say, one of the another things which which will come out as a very interesting thing coming out from this podcast, and people would be looking up to it. I will personally be looking up to it. You have mentioned a lot of things. I am personally finding you a very, knowledgeable person. I did not expected you. I must say honestly that I did not expected that you would, go on all these directions, like being from entertainment industry and comedy and book, but you are also on a different level in terms of knowledge and self-awareness, basically. So my question is that you have been into a lot of fields, so, and most of them do not share any common base. So how did you manage to excel in all those fields? What was your mantra?
Yeah, great question, Rohit. And I've been asked this a lot of times. And my simple thing, like I mentioned at the beginning of this interview, that I've always created my own path. And one thing I found, what people conform to is getting stuck onto identities. Either they are known as actors, or they are known as comedians, or they are known as accountants or engineers, doctors, and then that remains their identity till the end. And I
Yes.
wanted to break that pattern, basically, because I found my mind going in different directions vocationally. So where on one end I loved being an actor, in the same breath I would say I want to be in a uniform, I want to be on an aircraft, I want to be a cabin crew. And at the same time I would feel, I would read books, I would say no, I want to write a book one day. I would go for shows, and I watched a friend, and he was an MC for a show, master of ceremonies, a
Yes,
host,
yes, yes.
anchor.
Yes.
So that one fine day, that came into my mind that I should do this. So I became a professional MC. Today I have done more than 1,400 shows across 37 countries as an MC. So that again it's a mindset, Rohit, where your mind accepts and identifies you being in that frame of person. Automatically things fall in place. You don't have to become that, that becomes you.
Okay, so that was, very. Again, I'm just,
Mhm.
getting out of praises. Like the
Mhm.
everything you are saying is like coming out of very new thing which is coming to me. And you mentioned the MC part. You were master of ceremonies. You were into hosting. You have hosted a lot of shows. uh, I also got some opportunities to go on the stage, and there's always a very, a tingling stage fear. Stage fear. It is always there. It can be that your performance went good, your performance went bad, but that
Mhm.
stage fear is always there with me
Right.
in my case. And I, most of my friends, they also say the same thing, that the stage fear is always there. But hosting so many shows on your part, what do you think? Like, how do you manage the stage fear, or you have, eradicated it completely?
Nee, I hope I don't eradicate it completely, because it's an essential part of being an MC. When you have that fear, it's basically not something to be looked down upon. I'm proud of my stage fear, because that fear keeps me on track. It keeps me grounded. It keeps me working hard to give in my best for every show. See, when I'm hosting, let's say, an awards night, an average award function has a budget of 1 CR to, I mean, it's a huge platform. A lot
Yes,
of
yes, yes.
things have gone into putting that event together. So if I were to not have fear, which means I don't respect the audience, it shows arrogance, it shows overconfidence, which I am not. So stage fear, if you have it, then pat your back for it, because it is essential. Stage fear allows you to give in your best, but you should never let it overwhelm you. And there
Yes,
are
yes.
certain techniques, there are certain breathing techniques that always help you before you get on stage. And a lot of stuff is there on YouTube. But then, of course, those who read my book, The Mind Switch, a lot of techniques have been explained in that. Because overcoming anxiety or stage fear is just too hyped. It's something that is very easily overcome. It doesn't take a lot. Normally, when I do my seminars, uh, every person in the seminar, comes and uh, delivers a speech by the end of it. That's end of 3 hours. So it's not something. I have seen people who have been absolutely introverted and shy, opening up and coming out and being complete surprises.
Yes, actually, that is very true. And the what I like, I'm just summing up all the things you have done right now, I am just losing count. You have done acting, you have been a flight attendant, you have done hosting, you have done comedy, you're writing books. So, like, after being into so many domains, what do you think? Like, a term is very, popular among the youth, and everyone thinks about the passion. Everyone says that find your passion and work according to it. So, after being into so many fields, what have you realized that do we grow our passion or do we find it by exploring things?
I think I'll reverse that statement. Our passion grows, helps us grow, instead of we growing our passion. So identifying your passion, basically, my passion is life. I love life. I don't look forward to a heaven after life. For me, heaven is created out here. So whether it's in my relationships, whether it's with my family, whether it's with my friends, whether it's in my work, I'm looking to find my heaven out here on earth. So the moment your mindset starts searching for heaven here, then you start putting in your best. And there are periods. I mean, it's not that I am completely, solved it and understood it all. I'm as vulnerable, I'm as prone to mistakes as any average other human. But I'm proud of my mistakes. So there have been times where I've been not doing anything for months together, where I've just gone on a sabbatical and just lazing around, watching Netflix and doing absolutely nothing. But I call those periods of, recharging. Just like our smartphones need to be recharged, we have to be kind to ourselves and allow ourselves to recharge. So once we are on full battery, then again we can, shine.
Okay, so I want to, ask you one that thing about you said like the things, the failures or the mistakes you are doing, you take it as a recharge thing. So how do we draw a line? Because it is not that you will always be in that phase. Because you cannot be always be in the recharging mode. You need to get up again. You need to get yourself started again. So how do you draw a line between that? How, like, what should be the point when you realize that that you said that you need to be proud of your failure, but at the same time, when will you realize that yes, there is a limit to it, or that the time has come where I need to regenerate myself or make myself active again, go again, go work again, and try to achieve success?
Yeah. So again, a very good question. See, this moment can come twice. Okay, and once it can come when you start feeling a need for appreciation. Once you start justifying, wanting people to recognize you, that's not the right reason to reactivate yourself, because then you'll always fall short. But if that need to shine is coming, or need to do something different is coming out of just pure passion to experience something new. Another one thing which has been missed out and I've not mentioned in many of my interviews, I've also worked as a tour manager. So I have taken groups of people all across Europe, showing them, our one group would last for, let's say, 19 days. We start off in London, take them till Rome, covering over 12 to 15 countries in 19 days, and then showcasing them the highlights and the attractions, whether it's London, Amsterdam, Italy, Switzerland, and all these places. So that's one of the other things that I have been very actively involved in, doing it at least 1 or 2 months every year, and since 2010. So what I'm trying to highlight to you is that when you want to do something just because of the sheer pleasure you get from it, you'll always excel at it. But
Definitely.
the moment you start terming your failures as mistakes, then again I blame our education system, where failures are frowned upon, right? Our mistakes are frowned upon. We are always expected to be 100% right, and people who are winning are always appreciated. I say appreciate failures because what that indicates, if I keep failing at 10 different things, one thing that connects those 10 things is that I have tried.
Yes.
Right? It's better to have tried and failed than not to have tried at all. But if
Definitely.
I have tried something 10 times and have failed, the 11th time I try it, I'm still going to be doing a better job than the first time, because I have learned 10 ways of not doing that thing. So
Yes.
again, a simple thing that people can take away from this interview is whatever it is that you need to do or whatever your passion is, just get on to it. So you want to start your own blog, or if you want to start your own YouTube channel, I get a lot of people who, whether they are students at my seminars or whether they are people who just come across my profile and send me, asking for advice. I just tell them, just jump into it. I can give a personal experience over here. I was in Dubai for a year, settled in Dubai for a year because my wife had a job over there. So I just took a break. I went down to Dubai for a year. Now over there, I had nothing to do in Dubai. And I decided, okay, let's do something. I got into blogging in Dubai, food blogging. Okay, I had absolutely zero knowledge of food blogging. And when I got into it, Zomato has a listing of people who are food bloggers. So I was in their ranking number 13,000. So in their ranking of bloggers, I was number 13,000. And in less than a year's time, in 8 months' time, I had reached the slot of the number one blogger in Dubai in less than 8 months' time. Again, it's without sounding arrogant or trying to come across as somebody who's Superman. I just want to say that having zero knowledge of something and I managed to do it. Anything that you have a passion for, you can absolutely become excellent at it, provided you just give it your 100%. Success has to come. I failed also, I did mistakes. I made many mistakes, but I kept going. I kept doing it again and again. And repetition is the key. It's not about being perfect. It's just about how many times have you done it to reach that.
Yes, repetition, consistency.
Yes.
I also feel that consistency is something which can actually change fortunes if you are consistent and you do work regularly and with the same input.
Yes,
it can actually bring a lot of change.
Miracles. You can expect miracles.
It can bring miracles. Yeah. And like the thing you mentioned about the food blogging ranking of Zomato, you just topped the ranking in just few time in just very little period of time. So you must have have a lot of knowledge about foods and stuff, and you have also traveled a lot. So out of the kind of out of the zone question, what would you say the best dish you have eaten ever?
Oh wow! I'm actually, you'll be surprised to know, and I hope my restaurants that I have blogged about are not hearing this. I am a foodie, but I am completely into health food. So I have been into health food right from the beginning. But even when I used to blog, I am not somebody who would. Just a second, I'm losing battery here. Just a second, yeah. So I'm somebody who's completely into health food. So since the lockdown began, I want to share this also with our audience over here. My wife came up with something. She saw I'm completely into health food and focused on diet food. She came up with oil-free cooking. So all my food that has been prepared in the last 2 years has been oil-free. I've completely given up on sugar, completely given up on oil. So if you were to even Google my name, there was an interview in the Times of India. I lost 32 kgs in 3 months' time. So that was again. So this was in 2010 when I had put on a lot of weight with all the travel. And I just put my mind to it, and my entire diet and workout is there in that. Just Google it. Just put Umesh Pherwani weight loss, and you can read the interview.
No, I will definitely read it, and it is something a dream come true situation for many people. Like 32 kgs in 3 months, and it is just very inspiring thing. Actually, I must think that all those people who are facing issues with weight, they must take it.
Most people are, and
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are as I can see that you are someone who is very cautious of your fitness.
Yeah.
you really like to stay fit. And the times which we are in now, the COVID time, the lockdown time, third wave is rising up again, and we are still locked up in our house. Especially students, we are not
Yes.
going to college. We are just attending online classes, and we are just at home. So
Mm.
what would you advise to students so that they can maintain their fitness in this period?
Fitness, and I would say not only mental fitness, sorry, physical fitness, also mental fitness and spiritual fitness. So where there's an IQ, there's an EQ, and there's an SQ, spiritual quotient as well. So I would say that this is the best time right now, to just enhance your skills. There is so much stuff available. People are using the internet. I think internet is the greatest invention of all times, because you have access to so much information. I remember for my NLP, when I wanted to do NLP, I had to travel to the US to do my entire NLP course. But as of now, it is available free of cost. Not free of cost, but you can have access to it online. You can train with the best world class trainers online. And there's so much. I remember in the lockdown, March 2020, I did 3 graduations online.
Oh,
I did 3 diplomas online. One was in nutrition and dietitian. I did one in psychology, one in criminal psychology, and there was another one in creative writing. So and hypnosis. So what I'm trying to tell you is that all these resources are available, and don't think you have to spend a huge amount. You can I can give you a site where you can have access to classrooms in the US free of cost. Okay, so this is another good takeaway for those who are going to be watching this podcast. Uh, Go to this website called openculture.com. Okay,
openculture.com.
yeah, so it's called openculture.com, and you have courses from UCLA, Stanford University, Oxford University. Some of the best universities in the world are offering courses free of cost. So I've done a course in neuroscience. The only thing that I did not get was a degree for it. It's a
Oh,
2 year long course actually. 100 and it's I think 120 hours course, which I finished online. One of the best professors, Robert Sapolsky from Stanford University, is taking that class, and you can do it completely free of cost.
no,
So
that
you're sitting in a classroom. I just have to log on my laptop, sit and just take notes. Maybe I can email and ask questions. Everything that a student would experience in a classroom. Only thing is that they don't. If you want to certify, if I were to take that certification, then I have to pay $25,000 for it. But I don't need to prove myself to the world. It's
yes.
something that it's for my own thing, that I need to enhance my skills and my basically it's just gaining some knowledge.
Definitely, if you are having the thirst for the knowledge, and as you
Mm,
mentioned, this side, like
mm,
getting taught from the Stanford professors, and having
yeah.
all those kind of knowledge, it is in itself is very great thing which is coming for free.
It's incredible. It's
It's
incredible.
incredible,
And I
definitely.
think this is the one of the best things that I have researched and got hold of. And I always mention it when I'm even invited in different colleges to give a talk. In my keynotes, I always mention this site, openculture.com. I think it's a boon for all students, and they have a vast different kind of subjects, ranging from, even if you want to get into architecture, or if you want to get into medical or biology or psychology or sociology. Every subject is covered out here, and you can pick up your favorite classroom, your favorite university. You have a button over there, click enroll, free of cost. Just don't say that you want a certificate for it, because then it gets too expensive. Then you're paying a lot of money. But without
Yeah,
the certification, it's completely, absolutely free.
yeah. You have told about a lot of helpful things for all the college going students and all of us, and I think that our audience will be finding it very useful for them.
I hope
And
so. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so one final question. What advice would you give to everyone, the basically the students who are in 11th, 12th or college, basically the age group of our
Mhm.
podcast will be that the college going students and all people around
Mhm.
that age. So what will be your final advice? What would you, if you have to give one, or like, not one advice, you can give anything and amount of
Mhm.
advice, but what would you advise them to be, or advise them to act like, what
Mhm.
should they think about, how should they make their path basically?
Yeah. So first advice I'll give them is please don't take any advice, because that's where we get confused. Of course, but get inspired rather than getting advice from people. I think you should get inspired. So my actions are always to inspire people rather than telling them what to do, because each one is so unique in their own being. Understanding that unique identifying that unique self, and once you've identified that, then there is no comparison. So if you go to compare yourself, there is always somebody better than you, always somebody who can do it easier, in a much better way than you. So there is no end to perfection. But the moment you have allowed yourself to be who you are, and following your passion, identifying what your passion is, and then going deep into it, researching all the stuff that is out there, whether it is you have to pay for a technical skill or you can get it online for free, giving it that much time, investing your time in that, and self awareness, which is a key to everything. The moment you become aware of the present moment is where the magic begins to happen.
Yes, definitely. So that was a very insightful conversation we had with you. A lot of things to learn and to think about. But before we end this session, we would like you to request our audience to like, share, and subscribe this video and our channel.
Yes. What's
So
what's the name of the channel? Please tell me.
the name of channel is EDC UIET.
EDCUI.
ET.
ET. Okay,
Yes.
so guys, I'm going to go and like and subscribe to this channel because I am a part of it now, and I'm
Yeah,
going to go and
definitely.
watch your other podcasts. So great initiative that you've taken here to the entire team. Thank you for honoring me by calling me for this podcast, and thank you for doing your research and such wonderful questions, Rohit. You've done a great job with
Thank you,
your
sir.
research and your questions. You've been a wonderful host. So there you go. You've already got some wonderful hosting experience, as I can see now.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It's coming
Yeah.
from you. It's enough for me.
Yeah. Great.
Okay, sir.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you for inviting me.